Today, we're going to tear down one of the biggest beliefs about success and explore why it might be the very thing holding you back. This is all about what we're calling the grind fallacy.
You've heard it a million times, right? Just work hard and you'll make it. But what if that's terrible advice? What if that's the anchor weighing you down? We're diving into a pretty bold claim today. For a whole lot of people, that so-called hard work is exactly what's keeping them broke.
So that's got to make you wonder, right? I mean, if you feel like you're putting in the hours, you're grinding away, but you're just not getting anywhere, could the problem not be your work ethic? Could it actually be your own brain working against your bank account?
And that leads us right into our first big idea, the hard work lie. You know that feeling of being on a treadmill? You're running faster and faster, but you're just staying in the exact same place? Well, that's what we're talking about. But stick with me, because we're going to figure out how to finally step off of it.
So to really get this, we've got to look under the hood of our own minds. It turns out our brains are just full of these hidden traps. You can think of them as cognitive bugs that can totally sabotage our best efforts. So let's go find them.
The first bug, it's a big one. It's called the sunk cost effect. This is that little voice in your head that whispers, hey, you can't quit this job, you've already put 5 years into it. Or maybe, you can't shut down this business, think of all the money you've invested. See, we hate losing so much that it tricks us into throwing good time and energy after bad, just to feel like the effort we already wasted wasn't for nothing. You know, Warren Buffett said it perfectly. When you find yourself in a hole, the best thing you can do is stop digging. It sounds so simple, right? But our brains just fight against that logic. Real success isn't about being stubborn, it's about knowing when it's time to put the shovel down. Okay, so on to the next trap. And this one is a total paradox. It's called the over-justification effect. Now, you'd think that focusing on a big reward, like a fat paycheck, would make us work harder and smarter. But a ton of psychological research shows that the exact opposite can happen. It's kind of wild.
And you can see exactly why right here. Chasing that external reward, the paycheck, can basically put our creativity in a cage. It kills what's called divergent thinking, which is what you need for real out-of-the-box problem solving. But intrinsic motivation, that feeling of being genuinely fascinated by the problem itself, well, that just unleashes creativity. It fuels the kind of innovation that actually builds wealth.
So all these little mental traps, they feed into this much bigger problem, the effort delusion. This is that mistaken belief that the sheer quantity of our sweat is what really counts, that more hours automatically means more success.
There's this psychologist, Robert Sternberg, who drew a perfect line between being book smart and street smart. Look, book smarts are awesome for school, where you're just following a set of rules. But street smarts, or what he calls practical intelligence, that's all about adapting to the real world and thinking on your feet. A lot of people are working really hard, but they're just following a script that, well, it doesn't actually lead anywhere.
An ancient proverb just frames this perfectly, and it forces you to ask yourself, is my hard work even aimed at the right thing? Am I over here squeezing a cow's horn trying to get milk when I should be squeezing the udder? It's all about the quality and the focus of your effort, not just how much of it there is. So here's the bottom line, right? Wealth is not a prize for being the person who sweated the most. It's the result of constantly refining your actions, learning what works, figuring out what doesn't, and making skillful adjustments. It's about precision, not just raw power.
Which brings us to the solution I promised you back at the beginning. This is the secret. This is how you get off that treadmill. It is a single, super powerful mindset shift that changes the entire game. It's time to uncover the craftsperson secret.
Okay, so it all comes down to two different ways of thinking. Over on the left, you've got the judge. When the judge fails, they pass this final harsh judgment on themselves. Their whole ego is wrapped up in it, and that leads to what's called learned helplessness. But on the right, you have the craftsperson. Their ego is totally detached. They're invested in their skill. They don't judge themselves, they just evaluate the performance. So how do you actually do this? It's surprisingly simple. First, you have to separate your performance from who you are. If a project fails, you don't say, I'm a failure. You look at what went wrong with the execution. Second, get a new catchphrase for when things go wrong. Oops, there it goes again. Think about it. A woodworker doesn't get depressed when a piece of wood doesn't fit. They just make an adjustment. And third, focus all your energy on incremental improvements to your skill.
And really, what this all comes down to is this massive shift in perspective. You're moving away from just blindly doing the work to becoming a curious student of the results. You stop grinding and you start observing, learning from every single outcome, good or bad.
And that's really the ultimate takeaway here. That sunk cost effect we talked about, it makes us guardians of our own situation, protecting our past efforts even when they're failing miserably. The alternative? Stop defending what isn't working and become a relentless student of what does. That's it. That's how you break the grind fallacy.